So very warmly welcome back from our little break. And we will continue with the second session here with the theme, The Struggle for Alternatives and Global Resistance. And we have two keynote speakers with us today for this session. Sorry, stumbling on the English pronunciation. I had a coach earlier helping me how to pronounce more fluently the English words. So we have, as I said, two keynotes. First of all of them is Ashish Khotari, who is one of the leading figures from Global Tapestry of Alternatives and founder member of Indian environmental group Kalpavriksh. He has co-authored and co-edited over 30 books and helps to coordinate the Vikalp Sangam and radical ecological democracy processes. After him, we will hear Salih Muslim, who is the co-chairman of the Democratic Union Party, PYD, the main party of the Autonomous Administration of Northeast Syria. And without any further ado, I welcome Ashish Khotari to enter the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, RC. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Thanks for this invitation. Very, very important topic that we're all talking about today here, and hopefully going forward towards the World Social Forum also. Over the next few minutes, I'd just like to present a few perspectives and some of the work that we're doing through the Global Tapestry of Alternatives to bring not just attention to the multiple global crises that we face, but also the kinds of solutions, alternatives, radical alternatives that are emerging from the ground, which are hopefully pointing us in the direction of justice and peace and sustainability and so on. If it's okay, I will share my screen. And if you could just let me know that you're able to see this full screen.
Yes, but we're not seeing anything. It's just dark.
Oh.
We're seeing that you're sharing, but we don't see any pictures.
Strange.
Now we see everything.
Okay, good. Some time lag. Okay, well, thanks again. So, I mean, I don't think I need to say anything more about the crises that we're in. All of us are familiar with it in so many different parts of the world where we are facing these intersecting crises. They're not just any individual ones, but they're all intersecting. And we know that, of course, war or conflict of different kinds is present all across the world, and therefore the struggle for peace is also very much linked with the struggle for ecological justice, social justice, equality, and so on. So I think the biggest question that we are facing, all of us, is do we have alternatives to the currently dominant systems which are causing the problems, the crises that we're in, which includes, of course, capitalism and state domination, patriarchy, racism, and so on. And this is a very, very important question, especially in the global south, because the same model of what is called development that the global north has followed, which has already caused global problems, has been adopted by all the other countries of the global south, of the south also, and is leading to similar problems, including internal colonization in countries like India, where, for instance, the attempt at trying to have 8, 9, 10% economic growth means that colonization of resources and lands and peoples happens within the country as much as it does outside. And so this question of alternatives is very, very important. And here I think those of us who are involved with resistance movements, those who are involved with questioning the fundamental systems of and forces and structures of oppression and injustice and unsustainability and war and conflict, that's very much part of the alternatives. And we try and sort of say, how is it that other ways of knowing, of being, of acting, of behaving, of relating to each other and relating to the rest of nature are very much part of these movements against extractivism, against mining, against big dams, against authoritarian governments, and so on. But along with that, I think what's very important, what we really want to focus on over the next few years and decades is constructive alternatives, where people are trying to meet basic human needs and aspirations in ways which includes food and justice and equality and water and energy and housing and sanitation and everything, in ways that are ecologically sensitive and sustainable and wise, and also which are able to meet the needs of all peoples, including especially those who are most marginalized. Now, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of these alternatives. My fellow panelists today will be talking about one of them, one of the most important, from the Kurdish movement. There are many, many others, and part of the work that we're trying to do is to make these more visible, to tell people that these exist, that there are solutions, not the mainstream ones that the system is giving us, like carbon trading and so on, but actually radical systemic solutions are available if only we were able to pay more attention to them. But the biggest problem, I think, that we face is that they're very scattered. The resistance movements, the alternatives movements are scattered. They're not yet haven't been able to come together, especially across sectors. Movements working on, say, ecofeminism or on climate justice or on conservation, and those working on peace, those working on youth movements, etc., are not yet fully able to come together. Some of it is happening through the World Social Forum, but much more, of course, needs to happen. So a few years back, we thought that we would start this initiative of trying to bring together radical alternatives in different parts of the world, linking, of course, also with existing initiatives such as the World Social Forum, to share, to collaborate, to learn from each other, to create more of a critical mass for the global, the macro changes that we're all looking for. I won't go into too much detail. Basically, just want to say that the Global Tapestry is not an organization. It's not a top-down hierarchical structure. It's a horizontal weaving of processes across the world. It is held together very loosely by a set of about 22 individuals in different parts of the world. Much of it is actually led from the Global South. These are some of the 75 or 80 endorsing movements and networks across the world. You will see here a very, very wide range of movements, which include feminist movements, ecological movements, youth movements, peace movements, etc. And the idea is to try and come together in different ways, physically, especially where it's possible, or digitally, virtually, to be able to carry out mapping, documentation, more visualization of alternatives, coming together to put out material on these so that people get to know that these exist and get inspired to try out their own initiatives wherever they are, to do cross-cultural dialogue, which is very important, to do cross-thematic dialogue in different parts of the world, and to be at global events. We will be at the World Social Forum also in next month, to be there, to be able to put across these perspectives and build more and more collaborations. One of the things we started a few years back also was this process called Adelante, to bring together, along with the GTA, the Global Tapestry, other global movements and initiatives which already exist. You see them on the screen here. And that includes, of course, also elements of the World Social Forum and many others. TORD and many others have also been very much part of these processes. So that's just a very brief introduction to the GTA. That's much more available on the website itself. Let me just end or just mention briefly here that we know this is very, very challenging. Trying to bring movements together is very challenging, and that's true for many reasons. Of course, language issues, as we note here, cultural issues. Different people have different ways in which they dialogue. You know, some people need a lot of time. Some people want to do things very fast. Continued domination from the global north, even of the alternative spaces. And also, of course, the logistics of trying to bring people together from different parts of the world. And I would say also things like territoriality. Many of us feel that this is our territory and, I should be the one taking the lead. We all need to learn how is it that we can be more humble? How is it that we can actually be able to work together with each other without necessarily having our name or our presence as being at the top? This is something that I have seen over the last almost 5 decades, is something that often breaks initiatives are trying to come together. So I'm hoping that through processes like what you're initiated here and many others, and we would be very happy to be part of that, we can kind of confront these challenges of how to come together. And I hope next month, we've already mentioned to Rosie that maybe a session or two on how to bring a global movement together, on how to build greater collaborations, and how to confront the challenges I just mentioned. If we can have more dialogue and discussions on this next month at the World Social Forum in Kathmandu, and then going beyond that much further. I should also mention here at the end that through the Global Tapestry, we're hoping to be able to convene specific gatherings on specific topics. Later this year or early next year, for instance, we will be doing one bringing together movements on the ground who are working towards radical democracy. Actual democracy, not the electoral neoliberal kind of democracy that unfortunately dominate the world, but actual radical people's democracy on the ground, such as what we will hear, I'm sure, by the next speaker. The Kurdish movement, the Zapatista movement, the indigenous peoples movements, many of them who are actually trying to work towards people's voices being at the center of decision making. We hope to have a gathering of this sometime this year or later or next year, and we'd be happy to have more collaboration on those sorts of gatherings. Thanks again for this opportunity, and I look forward to the discussion and the collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashish. We can continue to ask Ashish some of the questions that have come up.
Okay.
And then just let me know when Salih is available.
Okay. I try to give you.
Thank you. So Ashish, again, I put you in the spotlight. And there are two questions in the chat. And first of them is, what are some of the effects of the GTA so far?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for that question. Well, firstly, to say that the GTA process started only in 2019. And then for 2 years, everything had to be done online because of the COVID pandemic. So it's a bit early to talk about effects, but here are 3 or 4 things that have happened, which show the possibilities. One of our most important processes is what we call weaving on the ground, which is where movements that are actually doing resistance or alternative work at the level of communities, indigenous peoples communities in rural and urban areas, get together and collaborate much more, which is place-based. It could be, for instance, we have weavers in Mexico, in Colombia, in India, and across Southeast Asia. And when the GTA started, there were a few of them, but there are a few more that have actually been formed to make these collaborations happen. So for instance, in Southeast Asia, across the 6 or 7 countries of the region, something called the Movement on Solidarity and Alternatives in Southeast Asia has been put together, which combines workers groups, groups working on conflict, regional groups working on regionalism beyond the nation states, groups working on environment, and many others have come together, and they're actually collaborating on the ground to make more and more of these sorts of initiatives work out towards justice, peace, etc. Same thing is happening in other parts of the world. So that's one of the outcomes. Another is that we have been documenting stories of resilience in the face of conflicts and crises. So for instance, stories from Palestine, stories from Ukraine, stories from different parts of the world which are currently undergoing conflict. How is it that communities are actually sustaining themselves in the face of these conflicts? we did about 20 such stories. I think Salih's microphone is now on.
Yes, Salih's microphone is working, but you can just end your answer.
Archie, we have Salih maybe those.
Oh, perfect.
Salih, mikrofona kabak, mikrofonu ver.
Thank you so much, Kemal.
Yeah.
I will just ask Ashish to end his answer, and we will invite Salih to the main room.
Yeah, so just for one last point. So putting these stories of community resilience and regeneration together has actually inspired others to try and do things like that themselves in the face of global crises, whether it's pandemics or it's war or whatever it is. So these are some of the sorts of things that are beginning to happen on the ground. But as I said, it's only 3 or 4 years old. It will, of course, take more time for that kind of effect to be seen in different parts of the world. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. And we will come back to you, Ashish, later after Salih Muslim that we finally have found. And I will just find you again and highlight you. And very much welcome, Salih. I will just let you take the floor immediately. If you can unmute yourself, you are very welcome to start your presentation. Your microphone is still muted.
Sorry about that. Well, I would like to say hello to everybody who listening and following us. And I am glad to be among you, to all the friends over there. I am Salih Muslim, co-president of the PYD, Democratic Union Party of Rojava in Syria, the Kurdish party. Well, actually, I was suddenly invited to join this meeting, so I don't know really what to say. What all I know is about the peace among the people and the peace between the areas in the world and the people and the situation in Syria. So I don't know, maybe I will summarize what I have in mind, and then we will have your questions and anything you would to ask about it. As you know, we are in Syria, and Syria is was for a long time, maybe for more than 12 years in the agenda of the world, which is the fighting going on. And of course, our Syrian people, we were looking for a peace and freedom for the people after the more than 60 years of dictatorship in Syrian regime. And then we suddenly found us in very complicated situation because everybody was their hand in Syria, especially the locals. I mean, neighboring countries like Iran and Turkey and the others. Everybody were looking for their interests and their maybe historical dreams. Some of them, they want to build a new Ottoman Empire, and the other want to make a state of Shia for all the Middle East and so on. As the Kurdish people in Syria, of course, I mean, we were at the beginning for this movement, of the Syrian movement. We were looking for the freedom and for the democracy in here. But we found the regime is not accepting. We were in struggle against the regime actually since 2004, since the Kamishli uprising. And then when this movement started in this Syria, we found two sides. One of them is the regime side, it's dictatorship. They don't like to leave the power to the others. And the other side, which is Muslimly the religious people and maybe the Muslim brotherhoods and so, also they are looking for the power sharing. And we refused to join both of them, and we had to find ourselves. And suddenly we found ourselves against those Salafist jihadists like Jabhat al-Nusra, Liwa al-Tawhid, and many, many groups. All of them, most of them, they were jihadists. And after that, we found ourselves against Daesh, ISIS, Daesh. And all of them are supported by Turkey. They are using a kind of tool in the hand of Turkey, using them for their purposes and for their dreams to build a new empire, Ottoman Empire. So we were fighting against them also, and we succeeded, to protect ourselves and our being, to keep our being, and succeeded to finish this ISIS, which we believe is against the humanity, and the European countries, and maybe the European countries, they suffer too much from them, their explosions and the people, and still they know what's going on. And of course, when we thought to protect ourselves, also we had a project also. This project is continue the democratically, how we can live with other nations, living together in Syria and the other components. Maybe most of you are aware of the Syrian, what components they have. Ethnically, they have the Arabs, the Kurds, the Syriacs, and Turkmens, and many other minorities, all of them in Syria. And from belief-wise, they have Muslims, Christians, Yazidis, Ismailis, Alawites, also many of them. The only way to live together, there should be, a secular system. Secular system which is recognize all the religions and give the freedom for the ethnically and the others. So our projects were depending on that. And from the beginning, we tried to make, to establish this kind of system in our areas after the liberation from Daesh. So we had this democratic self-administration in our areas. We are not looking for the dividing for Syria and so on, but we had our own project, and our project is very peaceful project. How the nations, which they were tools in the hand of the imperialism to fight each other and to make fighting between them, how they can live together. And now in our system, we have the Arabs, the Kurds, the Syriacs, and 3 official languages, and women's rights also, all maybe together in our areas. But of course, what we have, this model, which was established in our area, is disliked by the others, by Syrian region, because they are against the democracy and the people's rights and so. And also for the Turkish regime also, their dictatorship also. The Iranians, which depends on the sectarianism, the Shiites. So all of them, they dislike, this model we have established here, and we still believe, what we have established could be a solution for all Syria, not only in our area. And because of that, we are fighting all of those. Those are attacking us from many sides to dismantle this model we have established in our areas. And maybe you are following even. Last night there were some attacks by Turkey, destroying all the, those infrastructures in our area. And they are, killing the civilians and so. And the Syrian regime also, we were banned by everybody, by Syrian regime and so. And even, the international, agencies and the international institutions, I mean, they are not allowed to come to our areas to help us. I mean, even the Red Crescent and the other NGOs, and so they are not allowed. So we are surrounded by these regimes, and also more than that, they are attacking us. I mean, maybe you have heard about what's happening in Deir ez-Zor, which is the south area of our administration, and so. But we are still insisting in our project, I mean, democracy, because we we believe that it's the only project to bring the peace for us, the peace between all the people, all the components, all the nations, which we maybe shortly we call it democratic nation state, whatever you call democratic nation. And this democratic nation could solve it. It's when we say democratic nation, it's not only how to live in one part of area. Also, they have their rules and their regulars. I mean, for the women rights, for freedoms, and for the women freedom and the women rights, and so it's kind of a system for all the society, which everybody can live in freedom and democracy together. So we call it, I mean, a democratic nation. And even ecologically, we're taking care of the ecology. We're trying to take care of the ecologies also in our areas, and in whatever our hand arrives. I mean, we establish something which is livable for everybody can live in it. So this is our project, and we are struggling. I mean, to keep this, to protect this system. I mean, among all these countries in all those regimes. I mean, Syrian regime, Turkish regime, the Iranians, and so. And of course, I just forgotten to say during our fighting, I mean, against Daesh, and so we got support from the international coalition, I mean, to support us, which is make it easy for us to defeat Daesh earlier. And anyway, we should have fight. It was a kind of our interest and their interest. I mean, the American and international coalition, when they came here, of course, I mean, they came just for their benefit because they have their own plans and so. And we have in our projects, we were, I mean, not against what they are trying to do. Of course, they are not interfered in our project and what we are planning in our areas. So we were just, we were agreed how to fight this terrorism. And we still have a kind of cooperation between us, the international coalition, and just how to fight against the terrorism. And of course, we insisted on the international coalition to bring them aside, which, I mean, to fight against the sources which they are using I mean, those terrorism for their purposes, just like Turkey supporting Daesh, and they are still supporting them. To take any steps against Turkey and the other countries trying to encourage, I mean, these terrorist organizations, well, they didn't do it. I mean, till now they have very good relations with the Turkey and some other countries, and so they are not taking, I mean, very advanced steps to stop those powers which they are using, the terrorists, especially ISIS. So, but we still have relations. I mean, we are, I mean, our armed forces, which is Democratic Syrian forces, they are coordinating with the international coalition for those Daesh sleeping cells in everywhere, and especially in the Deir ez-Zor, Raqqa, and the other places. They are still, I mean, cooperating. But of course, I mean, our project is completely different thing. I mean, because we are working for our people, I mean. And also, recently, maybe some of you, if you were following, we had this a social contract between the, I mean, for Syria, which is kind of constitution for the people how to live together. And it was, of course, I mean, maybe you can ask our friends to give you a copy in English. It was in Kurdish and Arabic and many languages. Maybe if you ask our friends, they can give you one copy of it. It's a kind of constitutions for us, social contract between the people. I mean, our people, we were working for this contract for 2 years, contacting, I mean, all the communities and all the groups and political parties and even the people, I mean, in the Arabs, tribes, even the Arab tribes, till we reached a form of it. I mean, we put it in the social contract. So, I mean, we are working from one side to make more democracy and so. And recently, I mean, this social contract was agreed and put in implementation just maybe 1 month ago. And then there were some committees for elections, and so they are preparing themselves, I mean, to do something for all this social contract and to be implemented in our areas. So shortly, this is what I can say about our situation and in Syria. And as you know, I mean, we are affected also by this fighting going around us, just like in Gaza and Palestinians and Israel, and also I mean, between the Iranians, we were affected, at least, I mean, because they have shells, I mean, those Salafist, or let's say the Iranian supported groups, they are shelling some bases around us, which we are together, I mean, this international coalition and our people getting affected by these shellings, I mean, by some rockets and from Iraqi land and from some other places, their bases in the regime areas and so it's affecting us directly. And of course, I mean, from our side, we have our own policies. I mean, we see, I mean, this fighting between the two sides and between the, let's say, Netanyahu and this Hamas is not fair. I mean, this is not the way to solve the problems and living together. And we believe that this democratic nation, which we are calling for our people, is also is convenient for them to, I mean, to solve their problem, which is maybe approximately about more than 70 years. I mean, they are fighting. So the fighting, I mean, the arms and attacking is not the way how to solve the problems. And they can make dialogue according to our democratic nation, and they can solve the problems. This is the way we believe. So this is shortly what I can say. And of course, I mean, if you have any questions, inquiries, I can answer from our side.
Thank you so much. Yes, we have questions. I will also highlight Ashish here, and we will also take questions to him. So we have a question from the chat from Hans Eriksson, who is asking, what are your conditions for a possible conciliation with the Assad government? Autonomy? And how dependent are you on the US support?
Yes, well, we are part of Syria. I mean, in our project, it's also can bring the solution for Syria, but not with this regime, with this mentality, because we tried. I mean, our administration, they have knocked their door many times just to find a way how to to talk to them or to make a dialogue for a Syrian solution. At least, I mean, a political solution for all of Syria, but they refused. They still, I mean, believe that we should surrender to them, and then they can accept us and take us, I mean, which is not the mentality. But with this mentality, the masses mentality cannot bring any solution. So what we are doing now, I mean, we are contacting all the Syrian, I mean, the civil organization, political parties, and all the maybe Syrian communities, just like in Sweden and the other places, to have contact to let them believe in our project, which is believe this project is convenient for all the Syrians, can bring the solution for Syria. So this is our belief, and we are fighting. But with the regime, with this mentality, it's not acceptable at all.
Mm. There was also a second question from Hans, which is, what are the risks for deterioration of relations with Turkey?
Turkey is a problem, really, because Turkey is, they have a kind of Kurdophobia, which is they are very, they accept, I mean, the Kurdish being is a kind of their, is a kind of a threat to their being. This belief is very common in the Turkish regime since 1923 till now. For our areas, of course, I mean, we are mainly the Kurdish people. We are leading these projects, and we were able to defeat those terrorism in our areas. And we have a project, peaceful project for all the people, components living together. And of course, the Kurdish people are among them. From the beginning, I mean, if there was no Turkey, we could have a solution with Syria, all the Syrian people. But what we found on the ground now, I mean, the Syrian opposition is in the Hague of Turkey. So they don't accept us. The regime also don't accept us. And because of they are under the doing, I mean, with the Turkish instructions. So it's very difficult to understand them. And Turkey is against our project, against democratic Syria, especially when the Kurds are going to get some democratic rights. So because of that, I mean, when we defeated those terrorism in our areas, we found ourselves face to face with the Turkey since 2016. Until now, they are attacking us. And the only threat for us now, because the Syrian regime is too weak to attack us. They don't have, the resources. They don't have a proper army. They are not strong enough, I mean, to attack our areas. Our areas are under attack of Turkey in daily basis since 2016. And they are occupied Afrin in 2018. And after that, Kobani and Tel Abyad and Ras Al Ain. So, and they are still, attacking us every day. Of course, they will say any excuse to attack us. So they are saying, well, you have connection with the PKK, and so which all of that is false. It's not true. It's just excuse. Even they can create any excuse to attack us, just like what happened in Istanbul. There were some explosions in Istanbul. It was really, it was organized by Turkish MİT, because even the lady which was captured saying it's a PKK member, it was Somali. It had nothing to do with the PKK. They just fabricated it and said, well, she is coming from Syria, which wasn't true. Just to make it excuse to attack our areas. And even recently, they have their problems inside Turkey with the Kurdish people. Yes, that's right. There are problems with the PKK, that's right, but we are not involved in such a case. We're looking for our rights within Syria, with the Syrian opposition and Syrian people, and not with the Turkey. But they cannot stand. I mean, they cannot accept any Turkish people, any Kurdish people getting their democratic rights in any place in the world. So this is the problem, really. And this is the reason they are attacking us. And actually, we said many times, and we are working with the international coalition, they know it very well, and that we don't have any organic connections with the PKK at all. It's just an excuse to attack us. Yeah.
We have only very few minutes left of this session, and I want to also ask Ashish a question that came up about, you were talking about radical systemical solutions, and I was wondering, do you have some examples of those radical systemical solutions that you're working in Global Tapestry alternatives that you could share with us?
Well, we believe, I mean, democratic...
Sorry, Salih, this was a question to Ashish.
Sorry?
This was a question to Ashish.
Okay.
Thank you, thanks. But I think Saleh was probably going to say that the democratic revolution that they are trying in Rojava and elsewhere is very much part of the systemic solutions, which I agree with. So we have in the constituents, the members and the endorsers of the Global Tapestry have actually hundreds of these examples of systemic alternatives, ranging from things like movements like food sovereignty against the kind of capture of agriculture by big corporations and by governments, to movements for a radical direct local decision making and governance, such as the Kurdish movement or the Zapatista or many of the indigenous people's self-determination movements. Then there are many examples of systemic alternatives at urban living. How do you actually live in cities? How do you make cities such that they are much more just, much more sustainable, much less exploitative of rural areas, and much more amenable for even the poorest people to find a dignified livelihood. Then there are many alternatives, systemic alternatives on the economy, non-capitalist economic forms of solidarity, of cooperatives, of producer companies, and so on. So, I mean, I can go on and talk for hours on the systemic alternatives. We actually have a book. I'll put the link in the chat called Pluriverse, which has 100 examples from different parts of the world. It's a book that's available in several languages already. You can download it free. And many more of these examples are being put up also on our website. I think the important thing, RC, is that whenever we talk about both resistance and solutions, it's crucial that we are giving these practical examples, because otherwise for a lot of people, it's just up in the air. It's abstract. It's too abstract, especially for the so-called common person, to understand that it is indeed possible to have peace, to have justice, to have sustainability. It is very important that these examples are always cited, because then you know that it is not just theory, it's actually also practice. It's a combination of theory, concept, and practice. So there are many, and I'll put some of the links in the chat just now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashish, and thank you so much, Salih.